On camera, she laughed while she badgered her staff. And so all good things must end. And also the Ellen DeGeneres show. Yes, the 83-year-old entertainer just announced that the upcoming 19th season of her show will be its last. Apparently, she created a workplace more toxic than an Amazon warehouse in Chernobyl. Countless allegations surfaced last summer that the show's work environment was rife with harassment and discrimination. Following those charges, Ellen's ratings dropped faster than Kevin Spacey's pants at a boy band.
Ellen built a brand around kindness. But now, critics like Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld are questioning what really happened behind the scenes. The polished smiles, celebrity moments, and feel-good image are suddenly facing intense public scrutiny. What sparked Hollywood's sudden silence? Why are insiders speaking out now? And how did this controversy explode into one of the internet's biggest debates? From shocking claims to viral reactions, this story dives deep into the drama, the backlash, and the growing questions surrounding Ellen's public image. The deeper you go, the more surprising it gets.
Led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the...
Once upon a time, in the glitter-filled world of Hollywood, where publicists chase headlines and egos can feel larger than life, there was a daytime television icon. With her signature pixie cut, polished smile, and a shelf full of Emmy Awards, she became one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. She danced onto stages with endless energy, shared life-changing surprises, and built a brand centered on laughter, kindness, and feel-good television. For years, Ellen was seen as the ultimate symbol of positivity, a host who made generosity look effortless. But as Hollywood has shown time and time again, every spotlight casts a shadow. Behind the polished image and carefully crafted reputation, questions began to surface. Stories, speculation, and behind-the-scenes conversations slowly started to challenge the public perception many had accepted for years. What happens when the image the world admired begins to face scrutiny? What truths lie beneath the carefully managed spotlight? And how did one of television's most celebrated success stories become the center of growing controversy? This is the story behind the headlines, the rumors, and the questions that turned a feel-good empire into one of Hollywood's most talked about mysteries. And before we dive deeper, if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from behind the spotlight.
It was just the excuse. She is, Emily, I watched her comedy special. It was like a huge pity party. It was about how she was lamenting how her reputation has suffered. She's essentially as popular as a pit bull with monkeypox. But she's putting this on Trump. Do you think that she's going to be, just everybody's going to love her?
Behind the cameras, though, critics and former staffers painted a very different picture. While Ellen's public image was built on positivity and kindness, reports and controversies over the years sparked serious debate about what the workplace culture was really like behind the scenes. For a long time, the brand seemed untouchable, polished, upbeat, and carefully managed down to the smallest detail. Daytime TV audiences saw laughter, generosity, and feel-good moments. But as more stories began circulating, the conversation shifted dramatically. Former employees described tense working conditions, emotional stress, and an atmosphere that didn't always match the cheerful image viewers saw on screen. Suddenly, the image of the perfect television empire started cracking. The show that once felt unstoppable became the center of headlines, online debates, and public scrutiny. Staff members who had stayed quiet for years began sharing their experiences, and Hollywood insiders started asking difficult questions about celebrity culture, workplace behavior, and the pressure behind maintaining a flawless public persona. The spotlight that once elevated Ellen to the top of daytime television was now exposing every controversy attached to her name. And once those conversations started, there was no stopping them.
I have a question for you on this. This is perfect for you because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, "Oh, I had this birthday party," and Ellen said, "Well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me." And she said, "No, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened." And Ellen had blown her off. And then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty.
Then came Megyn Kelly, a media personality known for her direct style and willingness to challenge powerful public figures. While Ellen's image had long been built around warmth and positivity, Kelly openly questioned whether that public persona truly reflected what was happening behind the scenes. She didn't approach the controversy quietly. Through interviews, commentary, and public discussions, Kelly pushed the conversation back into the spotlight, arguing that the allegations surrounding Ellen and her show deserved closer attention. At a time when many people seemed ready to move on from the controversy, Kelly continued revisiting the issue and criticizing what she viewed as Hollywood's tendency to protect major celebrities. Her commentary reignited online debates and drew strong reactions from both supporters and critics. Some praised her for speaking bluntly about workplace culture and accountability, while others felt the coverage became overly aggressive or sensationalized. Either way, her involvement added even more fuel to an already intense media storm. What had once looked like a controversy fading into the background suddenly became headline material again. And as more voices joined the conversation, the pressure surrounding Ellen's public image only continued to grow.
Story. So Ellen and her wife, Portia, have left their millionaire haven of Montecito for England. Now they're saying they'll never come back in the wake of Trump's win. Do you think that's the reason why she's leaving?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, Ellen got canceled for real a few years ago from just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a single comment she said or something she did. Just lots of people saying that working for her was a living nightmare and that she...
The biggest controversy wasn't just the allegations themselves, it was the reactions surrounding them. Many critics argued that Hollywood and major media outlets seemed unusually slow to seriously confront the claims, sparking broader debates about celebrity culture, media bias, and accountability. Megyn Kelly became one of the loudest voices questioning that response. She repeatedly challenged what she viewed as selective outrage in the entertainment industry, asking whether public reaction would have been different if another high-profile figure with different political views had faced similar accusations. Her commentary struck a nerve because it pushed the conversation beyond Ellen herself and into a larger discussion about how fame, influence, and public image can shape media coverage. According to Kelly and others, Hollywood often appears willing to soften scandals when powerful celebrities maintain the right public image or social connections. Supporters agreed with her criticism, while opponents argued that the commentary sometimes exaggerated the situation for political and media attention. Either way, the debate grew far beyond daytime television. Then, Greg Gutfeld entered the conversation with his trademark mix of sarcasm and sharp commentary. While Kelly approached the issue more like a media critic, Gutfeld turned it into a cultural spectacle, using humor and late-night style commentary to mock what he saw as hypocrisy inside the entertainment industry. His jokes and segments amplified the discussion even further, bringing the controversy to audiences far outside traditional Hollywood coverage. At that point, the story stopped being only about one celebrity talk show host. It became part of a much bigger argument about public image, accountability, media narratives, and the way fame can influence which scandals dominate headlines, and which ones quietly fade away.
And I think also
I'm
to
just
admit
like,
your
of
mistakes.
all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure.
Greg Gutfeld didn't approach the Ellen controversy quietly. Known for his sarcastic style and sharp cultural commentary, he turned the situation into a larger critique of Hollywood image-making and celebrity branding. While many commentators focused on the allegations themselves, Gutfeld leaned into the contrast between Ellen's public reputation for kindness and the reports describing difficult behind-the-scenes experiences from former employees. Through jokes, satire, and exaggerated scenarios, he questioned how such a carefully polished image could survive for so long without serious public scrutiny. To Gutfeld, the controversy symbolized something bigger than one television host. He framed it as an example of Hollywood creating larger-than-life public personas that sometimes clash with reality behind closed doors. His commentary often mocked what he saw as performative positivity, arguing that audiences were finally beginning to question whether celebrity branding always reflects the truth. Unlike Megyn Kelly's more direct media criticism, Gutfeld used comedy as his weapon of choice. He exaggerated the situation into over-the-top sketches and satirical punchlines, turning the story into a broader cultural conversation about power, public image, and workplace culture and entertainment. Supporters viewed his commentary as fearless and funny, while critics argued it sometimes crossed into sensationalism. Either way, his involvement pushed the controversy even further into mainstream conversation. What started as reports about workplace behavior evolved into a larger debate about celebrity culture, accountability, and the gap between carefully managed public images and the realities that may exist behind the scenes.
Ellen told the Today Show, home of Matt Lauer, that the bad press actually had nothing to do with her decision. Right, and the Titanic didn't hit an iceberg. It chose to sink.
If it was why I was quitting, I would have not come back this year. I really did think about not coming back because it did, it was devastating. I am a kind person. I am a person who likes to make people happy.
No, the real reason, she says, is it was just too easy. Telling the Hollywood Reporter, quote, when you're a creative person, you constantly need to be challenged. And as great as this show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore. Well, if that's true, here's an idea. When your viewership is down to 43%, why not consider that the challenge?
What made the backlash surrounding Ellen's controversy so intense wasn't just the allegations themselves. It was the way different media personalities approached the story from completely different angles. Megyn Kelly focused heavily on what she viewed as inconsistencies in media coverage and celebrity accountability. She argued that some public figures receive softer treatment because of their popularity, public image, or political alignment, while others face immediate backlash and career-ending consequences. Her commentary framed the situation as part of a larger conversation about selective outrage in entertainment and news media. Greg Gutfeld, meanwhile, approached the controversy through satire and late-night-style commentary. Rather than analyzing every detail directly, he used humor to mock what he saw as Hollywood's carefully managed image culture. His jokes often highlighted the contrast between Ellen's longtime Be Kind brand and the accusations that surfaced from former staff members describing difficult workplace experiences behind the scenes. As the controversy grew, many celebrities and industry figures appeared cautious about publicly defending Ellen. Some statements were carefully worded, while others avoided the issue entirely, fueling online speculation about how much...
I'm gonna let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone... I will say, like, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have not been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen, to get over it, you have to deal with resentment and address it. And then otherwise you're going to fall back into.
Megyn Kelly's criticism ultimately centered on a bigger cultural question. Why are audiences sometimes willing to overlook troubling allegations when a celebrity has built a deeply likable public image? In her view, Ellen's success wasn't just about comedy or charm. It was about creating a brand so positive and familiar that many people hesitated to question it, even after serious accusations emerged from former employees. Kelly argued that celebrity culture often rewards image management over accountability. According to her commentary, audiences can become emotionally attached to public figures who make them feel entertained, inspired, or comfortable, making it harder for criticism to break through. To critics like Kelly, the Ellen controversy became an example of how carefully crafted branding can sometimes shield powerful figures from deeper scrutiny. Greg Gutfeld approached the same issue from a very different angle, turning the controversy into a darkly comedic critique of Hollywood image culture. Through exaggerated jokes and satire, he mocked the contrast between Ellen's polished on-screen persona and the reports describing stressful behind-the-scenes experiences. His commentary painted the situation as symbolic of a larger entertainment industry problem, one where appearances often matter more than reality. But beneath the humor and political commentary, both Kelly and Gutfeld were tapping into a broader public frustration about accountability and double standards. Their arguments resonated with audiences who believed that powerful celebrities and media figures are sometimes treated differently depending on their popularity, influence, or public identity. Critics of their commentary, however, argued that the coverage occasionally leaned too heavily into sensationalism and political framing. By the end of the controversy, the conversation had grown far beyond Ellen herself. It became a larger debate about celebrity worship, media protection, workplace culture, and the public's willingness to separate a carefully constructed television persona from the realities that may exist behind the scenes. For many observers, the story was less about one individual and more about how modern fame, public relations, and media narratives can shape who faces accountability and who is allowed a softer landing.
She was like, well, that's my time. Later, Marks, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then you just leave them behind to go.
Yeah, they don't have the choice. They must stay in the hell of Trump. We're out of here. By the way, Walter.
I think we could let the illegal aliens stay if we get enough of Hollywood to self-deport.
Yes. I will take 1,000.
You know? Exactly.
I'll take 1,000 Venezuelan migrants for one share.
In the end, the controversy surrounding Ellen became about far more than one celebrity talk show host. For critics like Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld, it represented what they saw as a larger Hollywood culture, where public image, popularity, and carefully crafted branding can sometimes soften accountability. Kelly framed the issue as a systemic problem, rather than simply a personal scandal. Her criticism focused on the entertainment industry, media networks, and public figures she believed were too willing to overlook troubling allegations when the celebrity involved had the right image or influence. She questioned why certain stars receive opportunities for redemption and carefully managed comebacks, while others face immediate public condemnation. Gutfeld, using satire and exaggerated humor, pushed that same argument into mainstream entertainment commentary. His segments mocked the contrast between Ellen's longtime "be kind" message and the accusations that emerged from former employees about stressful workplace experiences behind the scenes. Through sarcasm and cultural criticism, he portrayed the controversy as another example of Hollywood projecting positivity while hiding uncomfortable realities beneath the surface. What made the story resonate so strongly online was the broader frustration many viewers already felt toward celebrity culture and perceived double standards. Supporters of Kelly and Gutfeld argued that the controversy exposed how fame, influence, and public relations can shape the way scandals are discussed and managed. Critics of their coverage, however, felt the commentary often became overly political, dramatic, or unfairly personal. Regardless of where people stood, the debate surrounding Ellen evolved into something much larger than daytime television. it became a conversation about workplace culture.
Trump is truly responsible for Ellen's exodus. Shouldn't that go down as his greatest achievement in the last 8? I mean, he should get the Nobel Prize.
He's literally going to have a who's who of left. I mean, the entire 80s music catalog is gone. You got Springsteen, Cher, Madonna. I just don't know why they keep showing pictures of Aaron Rodgers with blonde hair.
Greg Gutfeld approached the Ellen controversy with the same sarcastic, no-filter style that made him a major voice in political and entertainment commentary. While Megyn Kelly focused on media accountability and double standards, Gutfeld leaned into satire, turning the scandal into a broader critique of celebrity culture and Hollywood image-making. To him, the controversy symbolized the collapse of a carefully constructed public persona. He repeatedly joked about the contrast between Ellen's Be Kind brand and the allegations from former employees describing difficult workplace experiences behind the scenes. His commentary exaggerated the irony for comedic effect, portraying the situation as another example of how entertainment industries can prioritize image over reality. The public apology that followed became another major flashpoint in the debate. Critics like Kelly argued that the apology felt overly scripted and carefully managed, while supporters believed Ellen was attempting to address the controversy publicly and move forward. Online reactions were intense across social media, with debates spreading far beyond entertainment news into larger discussions about workplace culture, celebrity accountability, and public relations in the digital age. By the time the show ended in 2022, many commentators viewed it as the closing chapter of a major cultural shift in how audiences respond to celebrity controversies. Some saw Ellen's downfall as evidence that audiences had become more skeptical of carefully polished public personas, while others believed the backlash had grown disproportionately harsh. Either way, the conversation fundamentally changed how people viewed celebrity branding and media narratives. Meanwhile, commentators like Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld expanded their influence by tapping into growing public frustration with traditional entertainment culture and mainstream media messaging. Their coverage resonated with audiences who felt increasingly drawn toward more direct, opinion-driven commentary, rather than heavily polished celebrity interviews and scripted television moments. In the end, the Ellen controversy became more than a story about one talk show host. It became part of a wider cultural debate about authenticity, workplace treatment, media protection, and the limits of celebrity image management, in an era where audiences are quicker than ever to question what happens behind the scenes. And perhaps that was the lasting lesson behind the entire saga. In modern entertainment culture, public image can build an empire, but once trust begins to crack, even the biggest spotlight can't always hold the audience's attention forever.